I'm already in a good mood, so let's have it. Brentford reaction, 2-1 defeat. The very last minute, Brentford went 1-0 up, sort of, reasonably early on. And to be fair, it was like their third decent chance they had. We started absolutely awfully, really, really sluggish, just did not look up for it at all. And Brian Mbeumo scored on 20 minutes. And to be honest, mate, I was surprised it even took that long. Not a pretty game to watch, to be honest, as far as West Ham, because in my opinion, it's one of those. This was one of those intriguing games. Sort of looking at Twitter and talking to various sort of groups of fans and groups of friends who support West Ham. Very much of a mixed reaction. Quite polarized, as we often see, but really either we were absolutely terrible according to some people, or some people thought we deserved to win the game. Bit of a weird one. Like I say, anyway, Jared Bone got what I thought was an undeserved equaliser with 10 minutes to go, but we could not see the game out, and Johan Visser slammed one home on the half volley in the 94th minute to send the away end absolutely mental. Josie, I'll just straight to you first here, mate. I suppose I might as well tackle that head on, what I've touched on in the intro. Good or bad? Some people suggesting that West Ham were absolutely awful and didn't deserve anything out of the game. Others, some quite vociferous exchanges I've seen on Twitter of fans, backing the team a lot and saying it's nowhere near as negative as some people think. Where do you stand?
I think we definitely deserve to be 1-0 down at half time. I thought, if anything, Brentford should have been 2 or 3 up. I thought they were very good. Second half, we were better. I don't think the equaliser was necessarily undeserved. I thought the way we were pushing, the way we were, we controlled the ball a little bit better in the second half. You certainly felt that if there's going to be another goal in this game, it's going to be West Ham's, and that came. But for me, the big reason why we lost that game was the fact that David Moyes didn't make any subs.
Blimey! What? No chance. You're pinning it all on that.
I'm not pinning it all on that, but if you look at Brentford, their last 2 games, their substitute Wissa's come off the bench and nicked an equaliser. Right, in a game, you make subs, you freshen the team up. I mean, I know Bowen scored, but he's absolutely shattered at the moment. Fornals wasn't, 100%.
He looks like he's got
game.
Bags of energy, though, don't you? So
I don't want to.
Sorry, mate. I'll let you say, and then I'll pick up some bits, because I don't want to keep picking you up on everything. But
I think
you're talking rubbish.
Thomas Souček had one of his worst games at the club, I thought.
Another one, yeah.
Another one. But when you're searching for a goal, you're 1-0 down at home to Brentford, who in the second half are playing to frustrate. They're time wasting. They're winning everything from the referee. I'll get onto that later. And it was just, like we needed to make a change, just to, if it's tactically, in terms of personnel, add a little bit more creativity on there. And try and do something. Try and win the game, or try and get a goal back. Okay, we got the goal back, but after that, it was almost like, I think when we scored, he was bringing on Vlasic, and Lanzini, I think, and the goal went in because I'm pretty sure they were standing there waiting to come on. And then so we just expected that sub to happen. And next thing you know, you see them heading back to the bench and putting their bibs back on, and it's like, well, hang on, okay, we've got the equaliser, perfect, change it now, let's go for the winner. And instead he thought, well, actually, no, this is the game plan I'm going to go with for the next 10 minutes and just run this squad into the ground. And that was the thing that really frustrated me, was that it was almost that we got the equaliser and it was like, right, we'll just rest on our laurels here a little bit and we'll take the point. We'll respect the point at home to Brentford when, fair play in the first half, Brentford were very good. You can see why they're probably going to have a good season. But I thought the second half they showed their true colours a little bit. I was quite disappointed in the way they conducted themselves as a club.
I'll leave it out.
Or as players. That was wrong for me to say as a club, but as players, on that pitch,
like the chairman's there going.
Yeah. I mean, that was wrong for me to say. But from the tactically and from the players, they literally just went, right, we're going to sit on this 1-0 for the next 45 minutes. We're going to take every opportunity to waste time. We're going to be in the ref's ear, and the ref bought that.
Do you think it was the players? Oh, sorry, go on, mate. No, I'm interrupting. I'll wait.
But at the same time, you look back at it and go, okay, we lost 2-1. On the face of it, I don't think anyone could complain the fact that we lost 2-1.
Ah.
But at the same time, there were things that did and didn't happen during that game which could have prevented us from losing that game, and could have led to us taking something out of it, I think. And that's the way I feel after it. Didn't, yeah, probably deserved to lose in the face of it, but at the same time, had we have taken a point or gone on and won it, I don't think many people would have gone, oh, West Ham, that West Ham were lucky. I think, I don't think many people would have done that, because particularly in the second half, we were much better.
Yeah, but as far as clear-cut chances go, I mean, I think they hit the bar, didn't they, before their goal went in? Yeah, there's lots of I disagree. Oh, brilliant, mate. We haven't had one of these for ages. It just turns out that when West
Go on.
Ham lose, that's when we end up having a go at each other. Jared Bowen, he's looked. I've just been shocked at how much energy and how fit he is recently. He's been a barrel of energy in like 3 or 4 games. I think he's playing the best football of his West Ham career, by the way, this season, by the way. Absolutely.
100%,
Kudos
definitely.
to him. I think he's playing brilliantly. I was just so surprised that he started at Man United in the League Cup. I know he gave him the rest, didn't he, for the Rapid Vienna game? And he come off the bench, didn't he, in that one? I'm not wrong there. But yeah, I mean, the 2 games before, the Man United at home in the league, I've never seen anything like it. He was absolutely phenomenal. It was just like playing a video game and someone just holding down the sprint button for 90 minutes. But unlike on a video game where the fatigue creeps in, that didn't happen with Jared Bowen against United. And then again in the League Cup, started again. I didn't notice him looking overly tired, to be quite honest with you. He missed that big header, didn't he? And, the quality of his finishing, I think, still needs work. That's the next thing I'd like to see him improve on. And I think he's, be there or thereabouts, an all-round player then. Obviously smashes the equaliser in, which is a wonderful finish. So sort of gets himself off the hook. As far as the subs go, I honestly I did think it was a little bit odd, but I guess when the game changes like that so late, Moyes, obviously, those subs were going to be with the idea of chasing the game, so it would have probably been a riskier strategy. So he probably thought, no, I am more defensively sound. We haven't deserved to win this game. So I will just leave it as it is and see out the last 10 minutes, because ultimately the way this game has gone for 80 minutes, we're fortunate to be 1-1 with 10 to go. So I don't want to push my luck too much, i.e. bringing Mark Noble on to take a penalty. Don't want to tempt fate again. I've already had that in recent times. So I wasn't overly critical. I just think it's one of the things people have criticised Moyes about since he took over as his game management, isn't it? It's probably the one major concern fans have had. Not that it's a huge sackable thing. On the whole, everyone still loves him, but if they had to pick out criticism, it's been his hesitance to make subs. So I wasn't too miffed about that. I think most of it, mate, is that our starting 11's brilliant and our bench is okay. Vlasic, again, I agree that I'd like to see perhaps seeing him introduced, but I don't feel like it's quite as the subs thing is quite as dramatic as everyone else. Because ultimately, if we had got away with that with a 1-1 with the 1-1 draw, which we were very, very close to coming away with, all but for 60 more seconds, I'd have been delighted with a 1-1, and I don't think I or anyone else would have necessarily been criticising on the referee's point. I just thought the referee was absolutely abject, like abysmal. The officials have been so good this year. It's been so much more enjoyable watching West Ham and other Premier League games in general. But yeah, Peter Banks, it was absolutely appalling. Did you notice, I know your seats are probably a little bit closer than mine this week, but did you notice that the Brentford players were getting onto him a lot? I didn't notice so much of that. I just noticed him being atrocious, just like rubbish decisions. Like one of those where he did seem quite biased towards Brentford, but it wasn't even bias. It was generally just because he was a rubbish ref and making poor decisions.
There was a couple of stages where you saw, I don't know, like you could see that he was being influenced. I don't think it was a deliberate ploy from him, obviously, but he was being influenced by things that things that have been said to him by players on the pitch. The decision making. Okay, he gave us, just to even it up a little bit, he gave us some very questionable decisions as well. But
Yeah, no, that's what I'm. On the
But
whole, it did benefit Brentford, but yeah, we got a couple of
there
naff
were
ones.
there were some absolutely horrific ones that he gave in favour of Brentford, and you're wondering what on earth he's doing. I mean, that was the main thing that I was angry about at the end of the game.
The ref.
The ref,
Hmm.
because it was like, just let the game flow. He was blowing up often
Yeah,
for very questionable, fouls. I'm still baffled by his decision to with the Zuma yellow in the first half, where fair play, the player had skinned Zuma and he was 1-on-1.
hmm.
Zuma's done so well to get back and tackle him.
Ah,
Right?
yeah.
If that's a foul, then why hasn't he been red carded? Why hasn't he been sent off?
Well, that was. I
I
mean,
don't. I'm
I
still
didn't
scratching
watch
my
it
head over it.
back. I didn't.
I'm
Well,
st-
I did my
I don't.
usual. And
We were like, oh, Zuma's been done there, and then
have
it
you
was like,
seen it
oh,
back?
yeah, and it was like, oh, fair play, he's got himself back there, and you see him given as fouls, but if he's given that as a foul,
Yeah, you
right,
should go.
then he should go. He should be walking. And he's
Yeah, yeah.
first of all, he's seen it as a foul, questionable. Second thing, he's not seen it as a red card, even though it's technically last man.
He was through on goal. Yeah,
If
yeah,
he's
yeah,
just through on goal, if he doesn't get tackled, then
yeah.
he scores. So it's a yellow card. So if you only there's no double jeopardy outside the box, and
Hmm.
it was outside the box,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and that just shows how poor he was, and that was a decision that went Brentford's way. Um,
Went our way, you mean?
well, I mean, the fact is that it kind of went
Oh,
both our ways,
well,
really.
yeah. That's what I mean. He was double wrong, wasn't
It
he?
was
Yeah,
double. I
yeah,
mean, it was double wrong, and that
yeah.
was why everyone was sitting around us just going, "What was he doing?" Like, okay, if you think that's a foul again, which is questionable, then there's
Yeah,
only one thing to do there, and that's show a red card, and you haven't shown a red card. Obviously, we're
yeah,
delighted
yeah.
you haven't, and that was probably one of the only times in the game where I was delighted that he was so inept, because it was like, what are you doing, mate? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, yeah.
And it kind of just followed the similar pattern throughout the rest of the game, and it just frustrated me because I don't know.
Mate, you
They-
know what it was, mate, right? What I find with referees, and not so much this season, but as a rule, you tend to find that some referees are really like they're strict and the game ends up being quite niggly. But often, if they're consistent, it's kind of like, well, all right, it don't really matter because as long as both teams are playing on the same playing field, you might question whether, like, oh, you're being overly harsh, which is ruining the spectacle. That's one thing. Just like you've lost the plot here. You're making so many incorrect decisions. Like
Mm,
it's not like when Man United play where you feel like there's a bit of big team bias going on. It was just like, no, you're just a terrible referee. You cannot see
yeah,
what's going on here.
yeah,
Like just wrong. Exactly what you said there. Like inconsistency. Zuma's one. I haven't seen it back. It looked to me like he clearly got the ball
yeah,
and then he blew. But again, it was one of those. Was like, right, maybe it wasn't as clear cut. And when I see it on telly, he got his leg first or something like that. I haven't seen it on telly, so I still don't know. But yeah, I was like, oh, he'll go then. That'll be a red if he's tripped him up.
yeah.
I just thought the whole thing. It was just, and you can always tell, can't you, a football game where like the volume of the way when he finally gave West Ham like a throw in or something 25 minutes into the game, and that sort of carried on, and you knew you weren't alone. Like the whole stadium were just thinking, this bloke does not know what he's doing. However, I don't really think, to be honest, I know it was annoyed, and I hope he gets we don't see him take charge of a West Ham game for a while, or any Premier League game, to be honest, because that's just gonna. It's not been about referees this season, which has been lovely. But yeah, I think ultimately, I just think purely based on the fact that we could have been 3-0 down at half time, no one would have been able to complain with that, would they? That I just still think, even if we'd got a 1-1, I was thinking, what a smash grab this will be. If I was a Brentford fan and it had been 1-1, you'd have been going home shaking your head going, how have we not won that game? So I think looking at it pragmatically, I'm not too sort of, obviously I'm disappointed, but I don't sort of feel like we've been robbed there or anything like that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think just going back to the subs thing, I think, he's done so well at rotating the squad, with Europa
Mm.
League and the League Cup, and he's got that absolutely bang on. But the same thing has got to apply to your substitutes. I mean, we've still got a relatively thin squad. Okay, we've got 3 new faces in. We're still a relatively thin squad for the amount of games that we've got to deal with.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
And you know, some might say, oh, well, we've got an international break coming up, so you know that may have been playing in his mind. It's like, yeah, but 8 of those players are going to be away on international duty playing 2 games in 5 days.
Well, that surely isn't that a reason
So-
why he might have thought, well, I can keep him on.
Maybe, but then you know you'd rather give him a little bit of a rest, you know. And I mean, I don't know. I just thought, well, given the fact we've got a thin squad, it's well known that he's got to rotate it, you know, a little bit, and he's done that so well at this point, you know. And I don't.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't,
with you. I know where you're coming from. Anyway, I just thought there was sort of less. I don't. Yeah, it's hard to say, isn't it? Now
and just on a point you said earlier as well, that you know maybe you thought the game plan probably didn't need to change after equalising, which is why he cancelled his subs. You know, when it went 1-0, Brentford went for it. They went for it. When they hit the bar before the goal, that was after it was 1-0.
Yeah.
So in the last 5 minutes, it was all Brentford, and it should have been all us going for the winner at home. So the game plan wasn't working. Okay, we got the goal.
Yeah.
Change it. If anything, the moment the goal goes in, you definitely want to change it.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that's just frustrating me. It was like, you know, the moment it went 1-1, there was only one team that really looked like winning it, and that was the team that just conceded. You know, they should have been on the ropes. They should have been
worrying, nervous. So we're going to throw this away.
And instead, it revitalised them, and we were on the ropes. And it just didn't make any sense.
Yeah, I thought we sort of come close, didn't we? We were like probing a little bit and looked like we might do something. But I think it's one of those with Moyes, isn't it? If he didn't do that and it was 1-1, I'd have been like, yeah, fair enough, happy days, no problem with that. 2 weeks off now to have a rest, no drama. But as it wasn't to be. But you know, we beat Leeds in that fashion, lost to Brentford, 3 points instead of the 2 we'd had if we'd drawn them both. That's just a bit of an emotional roller coaster on. Jonesy, the one thing, couple of bits just to off the back of that, my sort of experience on the weekend was a little bit different. I took my one of my best mates, his little boy, 7 years old, to his first ever West Ham game. So it's me and my best mate. I don't normally go with. We used to go out together all the time, but fatherly duties have meant he goes a little bit less. Him and his little boy, first game ever, mate. It was absolutely brilliant. You'll obviously have that coming up with your son in the next few years. I'd imagine probably a little bit soon at the moment. But yeah, the perfect age. Been excited about it for a while anyway. He was really into the Euros and stuff. And it was his birthday not long ago. Got him the tickets. And honestly, I genuinely just didn't care. Obviously, I was disappointed when the goal went in. But ultimately, just seeing his face, seeing him soak it all in, sort of one that he'll obviously remember forever. And it just made the whole thing, put in perspective, that I suppose is the right word, because it was the very first one and he was like wide-eyed, beaming the whole time. I've told the story on the podcast before. My first ever game, Everton at home, 2-2, 1997, I think. Crying when West Ham scored their first goal because the noise of the crowd was so loud.
Me too.
Did you do that as well?
Exactly the same, mate. I hated my first experience at West Ham.
Did you? Yeah, well, because we got to, ours was 2-2. I cried at the first one. My dad had explained. And then when the second one went in, I think I'd sort of like gotten bored of it a bit. But he was absolutely buzzing, and it was brilliant that we scored as well. Obviously, and even at the end, you know, he said, "Oh, what did you think of that?" He said, "Yeah, I've loved it. I've had such a good time. I really want to go again and all that." And my mate said, "Oh, what did you think of the football?" He said, "Well, you know, it's a shame we didn't win, but they tried their best, didn't they?" And that was it. I nearly burst into tears. I was just like,
"What's the point of doing these podcasts when you've got kids like that just going?"
I know.
Oh, at least they tried their best. It's like
yeah. Getting on with his life.
And there's us fully grown men having a moan once a week. Going on Twitter and raging about a referee.
Yeah. He's been in class year 1 this morning, just like chatting to his mates about the new shirt he got and all the other things, like the hot dog at half time being nice, and we're like, oh, I can't believe it, life's over, we've lost at home to Brentford. But no, that was a delight actually, mate. So look, just quickly, mate, before we move on from Brentford, have been on it for quite a while now. I want to just some quick fire bits at you to wrap up, because I think we've covered the main stuff there. Just want to know, I did love Moyes. I couldn't see who the player was, but David Moyes getting stuck into that Brentford bloke when he tried to kick the ball away or wherever it was on the sidelines was absolutely brilliant to see. Thomas Souček, he did have an awful game. He's just, I don't know what it is. His confidence obviously looks shot. But and I said this last week, I think, and it still applies. He's had another bit of a shocker of a game. It's becoming a bit of a pattern now. People mention second season syndrome. I don't know whether that particularly applies to players as such. Did to Fabian Balbuena, to be fair. But yeah, what do you make of that? I think we've sort of gone over what we make of it. Is it time to drop him and give Alex Crowe a chance? I think is more the question this week, mate.
I think something's got to be done. You've got to drop him in the right game now, I think. Obviously, we've got Everton away next. I'm not too sure. I mean, I'm surprised that Alex Crowe hasn't had more minutes to this point. So maybe it is time
mid-game, you mean? Like
maybe, yeah. I mean,
mid-game,
I expected Crowe to play against Vienna. I don't really know why he didn't get any minutes then, even come off the bench. But yeah, I think it's probably time to at least think about making a change. And even Moyes has admitted that he's not been at his best this season. So I'd like to see Crowe being given opportunity. But yeah, I just don't see it happening. I don't see him being dropped.
Really? Is that because of Moyes' tendency to? Well, he's not a trigger happy manager anyway, is he? Like you mentioned it there, some of the subs you were expecting, even in the Europa League or whatever. Yeah, what do you put that down to then? Because it's becoming like everyone can see it now, can't they? Everyone obviously likes him, but it just seems like it's one of those bit like when it happens to a keeper, you just want to take him out of the limelight for a bit before it becomes a major thing. I know we're talking about it, and fans are. It's on the verge of being that like massive elephant in the room, confidence crushing thing and all of a sudden from like hammer of the year, 6 months later, West Ham are trying to like think of finding buyers for him in the summer or whatever. It just feels like now's the time to sort of just take him out before it gets this big thing and reintroduce him maybe another time.
Yeah, no, I agree. At first, a few weeks back, I thought it was just him being knackered. He's played a lot of football, but then he was pretty much fully rested against Vienna. I think he came on for the last 10 minutes or something, didn't he? So it's not that. So maybe it is a confidence thing. And I don't think you can leave it. You can't take this into November if he's going to continue like this. We've got a couple of big games later on this month.
Mate. Yeah. Got to be decisive when it needs.
Got to make a decision. Yeah, just he might. I don't know. It could be a confidence thing. It could be something completely unrelated to football that's on his mind. I don't know. Like,
yeah, well, that's
it's
weird,
weird,
mate.
It is weird that he's kind of gone from having an incredible season and a really good Euros to then kind of going really well off the ball, and it just doesn't seem right because he's not a bad player. Like he's a very, very good midfielder. It's not like he's had a lucky season. So, yeah, I'm sure they'll be having those conversations and wondering with him as well, and going, look, what do you reckon?
Yeah, of course.
You want a couple of weeks off or something?
Are you all right? Yeah.
But yeah.
Look, no doubt about it, mate. The atmosphere within the squad's obviously brilliant at the moment. And I'm glad you said that, mate. Worth remembering as we try and do on the podcast. They're human beings at the end of the day, aren't they? And they're well-paid athletes and all that sort of thing. You don't know what's going on away from the pitch, do you? But yeah, I think just from football-wise only, I think, what might turn out to be obviously a positive or a negative, whatever, for Souček, it'd be a good thing for Alex Crowe to get a run out. I think he conducted himself well at Old Trafford on the whole, considering he was dropped in the deep end. Yeah, I'd have no problems at all if we saw him starting our next game. Everton away, no more difficult than Old Trafford away, I wouldn't suggest, or Man United away at Old Trafford. So we'll see what happens. Fabianski for Areola. Again, it's becoming a bit of it's like the vogue thing to say for fans at the moment who just feel like they want to have something like a bit controversial to say, or I've felt that way about people who've been saying it for most of the season. I don't know. I don't know whether that's just seeping into my mind that I'm thinking maybe, and I'm like looking for it every week and I'm a bit more alert to it. Does he drop out for Areola? Areola played against Vienna, of course. Didn't have loads to do, but did what he had to do pretty well. Does he drop out now? Is that a change that you'd expect to see or would like to see after the internationals?
I think we've been expecting it for a while. The general thought was,
Well, not everyone, mate. Not everyone.
But I think my general line of thought was, well, if you're bringing in a goalkeeper of that quality to be backup, none of it makes. Not when you've got Darren Randolph as a half decent backup. And we said this a few weeks ago that there's only one reason Areola is coming into this football club and needs to be the number one. And so I think many people have been going, okay, well, when's he going to make a change? When's he going to make a change? And he hasn't yet. But I think, on the basis of the last few, we've kept one clean sheet in the league all season. And we probably shouldn't have kept a clean sheet in that game as well at Southampton. David at the post, we were quite fortunate not to concede. So something's not right defensively. Got to look. I mean, okay, defense has improved with Zuma in there, but I mean, the only other place to look really is in goal. And I don't really recall Fabianski being 100% at fault for any goal so far.
Yeah, it was one of those again that, yeah, go on.
He's what, 33, 34? Maybe he's lost half a second in his reactions.
You have,
reflexes. I definitely have, yeah.
He's got him in your year at school.
It's mad. It's mad that you say that about a 33, 34-year-old. I'm exactly the same age.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I'm talking about him as if he's like ready to get my Zimmer frame. Yeah.
And you're in the prime of your life, aren't you?
I know. Yeah, I'm a spring chicken compared to Fabianski, mate. Yeah, stick me in goal.
Put you in goal. Yeah.
But I think, mate, it could be that. It could be that he's retiring from international football after this week. He's coming to the end of his career. Maybe he has lost half a second. Can you call it half a second in reflexes? I don't know how you measure it.
I think so.
How do you measure reflexes?
Quickly, mate. Just quickly, though. By the way, I have to pull you up on it. 36 years old, Lucas.
Oh, right. So
he was about 4 years above you at school, wasn't he?
I mean, blimey.
Goodness me. He'd have been a year 11 really when you were a year 7, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I feel really young. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I can definitely have a go at him for being old then.
Yeah, he could basically be my dad, and just one of the older kids at school for you, couldn't he?
Yeah,
he'd have had to have been a bit of a young dad, granted, as in 8 years old.
Right,
but
yeah, I mean, bro, it's not unheard of.
It's not unheard of, is it? Yeah. No, don't know what it's like in Poland. But all right, so this has got a little bit off track here. Areola in for Fabianski next game, yes or no?
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Thomas Souček out for Alex Kroll next game, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, blimey, fair enough. What a shake-up you're having. Vladimir Coufal as well. Just quick note, I haven't really got time. We've been this first section for ages. Had an awful game. Perhaps his worst in a West Ham shirt, I thought.
Carrying injury, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. So we're not having him out for Ryan Fredericks or Ben Johnson next. No. Cool. Glad we got that one sorted. I think, Jonesy, we have pretty much covered everything from that Brentford game there in quite a lot of detail, I'd say. So stay with us because we've got a look back to the Rapid Vienna game next. 2-1 last minute home defeat to Brentford on Sunday, Jonesy. But that followed a fantastic 2-0 victory over Rapid Vienna at the London Stadium, our first ever Europa League group stage game at home in history. And Jonesy, this is what puts it all into perspective for me. And if we're talking logically, if you give me a choice and said, when we were doing last week's podcast, right, the next 2 games you've got before the next show, Rapid Vienna at home, Brentford at home. You can win one, lose one. Which would you pick? I'd have picked exactly how it went. I'd have picked the victory against Rapid Vienna and a defeat against Brentford. No doubt about it. Doesn't mean I feel brilliant about the Brentford result, but if that had to be the choice, I'm pleased we got one win. I'm pleased it came in the Europa League 2-0, no goals conceded in our maiden Europa League group stage campaign, and the light show before the game was absolutely sick.
The light show was good. I missed most of it.
Are you joking? You didn't unmute your mic in time for everyone to hear how much you just laughed at my joke there. Absolutely gutted.
I've just done it again. I put it on a little bit there, but I did.
Yeah. Thanks,
No, the light show was good. Yeah, I missed most of it. I was still trying to down my beer.
Bad, mate.
And at my age, it's harder to down a beer.
Nearly as old as Fabianski, aren't
Yeah,
you?
no, it's terrible, isn't it? But yeah, it was. You'd rather win that than, as you said, rather than like you take the win against Vienna than beating Brentford in the league. The way I see it, and I think we said it before, we're on uncharted territory as a football club in this competition. So there's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't just throw everything at it and go for it, because we don't know when we're going to be in this position again. And so far, the bookies have got us down as favourites, so we must be quite good.
Yeah, it was Leicester, but they're bottling it, aren't they?
Yeah, they've bottled it. So if you look at, I think we are outright favourites to win it at the moment until Barcelona drop into it, because they're having a stinker in the Champions League. So yeah, I think it was.
They might not even be good enough to come third in their group.
Yeah,
It's
true. Yeah, they might finish fourth. They might end up in
Yeah.
the Conference League with Spurs. Bless them,
mate. That'll be me though. If we get Barcelona away in the Europa League, and then I will go, and that'll be me. I think with West Ham, then I'll have completed it. I don't think I'll bother after this season if we do that. That'll be me done. I'll go. I was thinking I might just go and follow England or whatever. I've always wanted to do that a bit more seriously. I might just quit West Ham then. Follow international with a bit more irregular podcasts as well if we do that as well, isn't it? Once every 3 months rather than every week.
We'll just set up a We Are England podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some. There'll be a political group or two out there with some questionable morals. I imagine they're already called that. But we Are England. Trademark it now, Jones, if it's not already taken. So Rapid Vienna, mate. I don't know. I mean, you've got the running order notes in front of you as well. I'll just have a quick run through and I'll let you do. You pick what you want to start. Another goal for Declan Rice. Game wasn't as comfortable as we thought, but two wins from two in the Europa League. Haven't conceded yet. Perfect start. The atmosphere was not as good as I was expecting. I've mentioned how sick the light show was already. The trouble with the crowd, which was obviously sort of semi-newsworthy, and what I've mentioned already, I'd rather beaten Vienna than Brentford. You can see, listening at home, how in-depth our notes are ahead of these podcasts. But which one of those talking points do you want to tackle first, Jones?
Well, firstly, they're not as comfortable as we all thought. I mean, I don't think anyone.
That's not my own view, by the way.
Yeah.
Was sort of,
I think
2-0, and it was pretty.
It was 2-0. It could have been more. We hit the post twice, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
The thing that surprised me was that I listened back to your interview with the other Bundesliga podcast last week.
Oh yeah, Tom, yeah.
With Tom, and when he said that if Vienna avoid a thrashing, it would be a good result for the manager who's under a bit of pressure there.
Yeah,
and I had to pause it and just go, hang on, is he talking about West Ham thrashing another team in Europe? Like, like I know we've been good, but this is a team that's okay. They're not going for a great spell in their history at the moment, but this is a team that's in Europe every single season. And then this guy's telling us that they'll do well to avoid a battering against West Ham. It's first time ever in a competition. So I don't think many people were, until I heard that, was really expecting it to be sort of as easy as other people thought it might be. And until I heard
they
that,
were the top 4 team, weren't they?
They were
generally considered the weakest team in our group.
Oh, definitely, yeah. But then you look at it and go, well, they've got the experience of playing in Europe regularly, yearly. If it's not yearly, it's pretty much maybe the odd year out. And I believe before the ball was even kicked in this competition that would work in any opposition's favour against us, because they've got the experience playing at this level. We've got experienced international players as an individual, but as a team, we haven't got experience playing at the competition. But so far, I've been absolutely wrong, and I'm happy I'm wrong. But yeah, I think regardless, at the end of the day, at this level, and it is a cliche, I've not said one yet, but not every game at this level's easy. And
I was proper enjoying it until then. Fair play, 45 minutes it's taken. You nearly got a full hour.
Well.
It's got to be a record.
I've done pretty well.
Can we just limit it to one tonight?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will.
Cheers,
but it's true, though, isn't it? It's true. And I think we can be happy with 2-0. No goals conceded so far. +4 goal difference. Running away with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. As I do with a lot of these, when I put the running orders together for these, I try and put down views that I've seen or heard from others. I don't just write down what I think and then we talk about those. And that is one of those occasions where lots of people were sort of, oh, I wasn't as comfortable, and I was fortunate enough that I was over pulling a James Jones hospo for the game. You know, and there's a few people I knew over there, and we were chatting at half time, and a couple was like really negative. Oh, you know, should have been more, and you know, a bit sketchy in it. Only 1-0 at half time. I was like, what are you talking about? We've hit the post, like the inside of the post twice. Could easily have been 3-0. I haven't really had a sniff. I think that, yeah, I didn't get it. And even at the end as well, obviously, Saeed, I'm glad he scored because it made it like we did deserve at least a 2-0. Like 1-0 would have flattered them, if anything. I did think, what are your thoughts on the pen? That was obviously down your end of the ground. It was slightly like the other end to where I was sitting. I thought Stonewall, as soon as I saw it, I was like, well, yeah, that's a pen.
It was right in front of us,
Hmm.
and we all went, "That's a Stonewall penalty."
Oh,
And
really?
it was literally we were on that corner where it happened,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
and we all had the perfect view of it. He was kind of running away from us as he was cutting inside, and we all just turned around and sort of shrugged our shoulders and went, "Yeah, it's a Stonewall penalty."
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Have you seen it back?
but then the moment he was asked to go and see the
Yeah,
pitch side monitor, I was like, maybe it isn't. Otherwise, why is he being asked to go and see it?
yeah. They only
Um,
ever go over there to overturn decisions, don't
yeah,
they?
yeah. So I have seen it back, and yeah, he's dived, didn't he?
Hmm.
So but yeah, for a
I did
split
think that.
second,
I
I
was
was
like,
like, oh,
yeah,
for crying out loud, really? Like, what a
yeah.
stupid challenge to make. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm in there at half time going, well, everyone just relax and stop being so negative. It's like, we're obviously going to win this 5-0. Like, they're not going to score, are they? What on earth are you talking about? And as soon as he blew the whistle, I was like, oh, God, I might have to go now so I don't have to talk to anyone else and get it from all sides after the game. But yeah, nice to obviously see that one overturned. It was a dive. Did he? I don't know. Did he get booked for that?
I don't
Like
think so.
when the ref goes over and sees that, is there not a. Like that wasn't like, oh, he's been clipped, the contact wasn't enough for me to give a pen. That was a, no, you've proper dived there. Is there, sure, you'd imagine, wouldn't you, that not only overturn the decision, you go, oh, actually, he's dived, so I'm going to book him for that, unless there's some in the VAR rules, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't really make sense, but maybe it's Peter Banks in disguise. He ain't got a clue.
He was the VAR, probably. Yeah, yeah. It's going, I don't know the rules. I don't know what
Yeah,
happens when you get tackled when you throw on goal.
don't give the penalties dive, but don't book him either.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right?
Just don't do anything.
Yeah,
Don't do
yeah.
anything at all.
Just shrug your
Yeah.
shoulders like I did on Sunday.
Yeah, yeah. Nice one, Peter. Absolute legend. Right. So yeah, James, the crowd trouble then. What was your view of that? I mean, it was one of those sort of reading the reports after the game suggested that it was going on before. I think, to be fair, the away fans, the press, the media sit down. Their seats are towards that end of the ground. They're kind of halfway line, but they're not really. They are like in between the halfway line and the penalty box towards the away fans. They will have had a better view of that. There was suggestion that when the lights went off for the light show, you went out for that, obviously, and I was just absolutely buzzing off of the laser display. That some bottles were exchanged. There was plastic bottles. I saw my favourite picture of the whole evening. I saw was the West Ham fan in full blown like city boy suit, like standing on the like meshing that covers all the seats, like giving it large. And I think I saw a good meme tweet that said when you're presenting the quarterly accounts at 4 and then you've got Rapid Vienna at home at 8 or whatever. Yeah, I saw the big water cooler somehow
Yeah.
that had got into fans' hand and that was being exchanged. But obviously the main bit of it, I don't want to, I'm laughing about it, of course, but don't want to make too light of it, because particularly when the goal went in, it seemed from where I was sitting like the Vienna fans were like rushing to try and get at the home fans. I imagine there was some antagonising going on, as there always is. What was your view and your view of it, and then your take on it?
Well, yeah, we spent quite a lot of the game watching them because, first of all, I want to say like that's the first experience of having like a good set of proper sort of continental away fans that come along and
Yeah,
um,
Probably about 800 of them, I reckon.
Yeah, do things a little bit differently as an away support. You know,
Yeah.
you got the geezers at the front with no tops on, not watching the game. They're sort
Yeah.
of choreographing the songs
The
and the arm
conductor.
movements. And a bit of a conductor. You just don't see that. I said to my mate, I said that's what Palace fans think they look like when they rock up here.
Yeah, but
with their 20 ultras and their one big flag.
Yeah. Where'd you get your black jacket from? Same place as you, mate. Oh yeah, I saw you in Matalan, didn't I? Yeah.
But to be fair, all that trouble aside, I thought it was great. I thought they were all right. You knew it was going to kick off. Like, as soon as you see a couple of things thrown, you thought, well, there's only one way this is going because it's going to carry on. You know, those fans ain't going to care. You know, like those 800 fans are probably their 800 ultras.
Yeah, if you travel to London on a Thursday, you're going to be pretty hardcore, aren't you? Yeah.
And I said this in the summer to a couple of mates, like, whoever we draw, they're going to want to come to West Ham and start a bit of trouble because of our reputation.
Sorry, I thought you were going to bring up the Millwall thing again.
No.
I was expecting you to tweet, I hope West Ham never ever draw Rapid Vienna again, because that's not what football's about for me. I do not want to see bottles being exchanged.
No.
This is the biggest James Jones pylon on Twitter I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, I wasn't saying that. I thought they were great. I thought potentially blown out of proportion a little bit across the media. I thought they made a lot about it that probably didn't need to be the case. I understand that we'll probably be fine.
It's a story, isn't it?
It's a story. I felt like it dominated the story of the night when it kind of didn't really need to.
Did you think? I didn't.
Every report I read, it was West Ham beat Rapid Vienna 2-0 at London Stadium amid crowd trouble, and it was just like, well, was it really?
I think it's one of those. I don't like. There was something that happened, wasn't there? That's undeniable. The stewards were required to pile in and all that. So I don't think it's sort of, not that you're saying this, but those that have, I don't think it's fair to say, oh, they're just making it up or they've made something of nothing. So, well, no, that never happens anyway, really. But in this instance, there was enough. Like, it wasn't levels of that Chelsea home game where there was virtually like running battles in the stadium. Or like previous that we've seen sometimes Upton Park, the Millwall game, and it was nothing like that, was there? It was a hostile atmosphere. And again, it's one of those, mate, we don't want to play it down on this podcast, do we? But I think call it for what it is and be pragmatic. It was some empty plastic bottles thrown. There was some reports that people were like weeing in bottles and throwing like urine at each other, which again, that's rank, isn't it? That's sort of more disgusting. I imagine if you were down there, probably would have felt a bit hostile, but I didn't think it was, like labeling it as like crowd trouble that marred the occasion. I didn't think it was one of those. It wasn't like the Millwall game or the Chelsea thing or the Burnley at home or whatever. It wasn't like that, was it? It was like, oh yeah, European evening, few missiles exchanged, which you don't want to see, but could have been worse. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think, the behaviour from both sets of fans in that corner wasn't acceptable, but at the same time, it wasn't as bad as everyone had said. And, we spent quite a lot of time having a giggle about it from where we saw it. I think there was one Vienna fan, he breached the line of stewards. But then kind of went, okay, what do I do now? And he was kind of in between the stewards that were behind him and then a line of photographers on the side. And then the advertising audience. He was kind of in a bit of no man's land.
Yeah.
And he was wandering about and he just lit up a fag.
Did he?
He was, but he didn't get involved in any more of the trouble. He just stood there and had a fag and watched the game for about 10 minutes. And I was just like, what a legend. He's kind of like, get on the pitch, mate. If you're going to get on the pitch.
Yeah, if you're going to do it, mate.
Do it. He's gone, no, I'll have a fag and think about it. And then he's changed his mind and got back involved.
Yeah, but that's what the funny thing is with all those stewards there. Like, a lot of the time, if they weren't there, like they're there, that like people like doing all the gesturing, don't they, across the 4 lines of police officers or whatever. A lot of the time, if they just moved out of the way, no one would actually like. You wouldn't have this big running battle, would you?
They'd kind of be jumping with their arms up out.
Going,
Going, Who's going to make the first
move? No, literally, no one's stopping you, mate. If you want to have a punch up, go ahead. No, come on. So, no, mate, honestly, you can actually run up and go and punch someone if you want to. Well, no, I'm used to just bobbing around in front of a steward or a policeman. No, mate, fair enough. Happy days. But no, on the whole, mate, I totally agree with you. I thought it was brilliant. They were pretty much 90 minutes, weren't they, from the first whistle to the last? Bobbing up and down. And it's one of those, if we were like, if they'd got an early one, it would have been quite a nice, if we were more comfortable in the game, it would have been quite a nice spectacle at some point, just for entertainment purposes, to see them get a goal as a reward for their long trip. But yeah, never mind. I won't lose too much sleep. Yeah, I won't lose too much sleep over that one. On the whole then, Jonesy, while we're on that topic, what do you think of the atmosphere from the home fans? I wouldn't say I was disappointed, more as surprised. I just thought it was going to be a little bit more electric and a bit buzzy. I obviously, where I was sitting, which is obviously isn't my normal seat, over the main stand, isn't notorious for atmosphere, but when I've sat there in the past, you often hear it from the rest of the ground. It's quite cool because it sort of hits you. Obviously the ground wasn't 100% full, probably about, I think, 50,000 thereabouts was the official capacity, so still very decent. But yeah, I just thought it was just a little bit quiet, to be honest, considering some of the decent showings we've had in the Premier League games.
I think maybe the fact it wasn't as comfortable as many thought may have played a role in that. I mean, I was shocked that it wasn't a sellout.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
first Europa League home game ever. Like, surely people want to get over there and see that.
Yeah, you'd think.
But yeah, it was a good atmosphere. I mean, but I see where you're coming from. It wasn't as electric as maybe the Leicester game, which I thought was absolutely fantastic earlier this season. But yeah,
I understand once a game gets going, but even in the early stages, I just thought it was a little bit, like, again, no criticism at all. I just thought I was just expecting a lot, and it was just okay. I think
you would have thought that the epic laser show, light show, would have got everyone going. Like, you're the only one there getting absolutely buzzed by the light show.
yeah, I was having the time of my life, sort of watching Chemical Brothers, but with a football game afterwards. Absolutely wonderful. Yeah, all right, fair enough, mate. You don't see him as phased about that one. Yeah, another goal for Declan. All in all, we're top of the league. Genk at home next, isn't it, Jonesy? Which will, I think, big game for us, really. If we can win that, 3 wins from 3, you leave everyone else, sort of, I think, struggling is perhaps the wrong word, but yeah, ultimately, I mean, we'll be, if we get a win in that one, we'll be in pretty good shape, won't we?
Yeah, win that, and I think you could safely say that I'm not safely. It's West Ham.
Hang on, careful.
You can suggest that we'll be in some kind of European knockout stage, I think, because so you'd hope that it'll be the Europa League, but I think it puts us in a huge position.
Yeah,
particularly if Vienna can get a result against Zagreb, then even better. And you're going in there sort of 4 points clear with 3 games left.
I'll be surprised, to be honest, wouldn't you?
I would as well.
Vienna get Dinamo Zagreb beat Genk, just in case anyone wasn't aware. They beat Genk, 3-0 away. So West Ham sit top of Group H at the moment, 2 wins from 2, 6 points. Dinamo Zagreb in second after that convincing win over Genk. They're on 3 points. Genk are on 3 points as well after their opening day victory over Rapid Vienna. Rapid Vienna are bottom, 2 games, 2 defeats. Just goal difference separating Dinamo and Genk. So, I mean, what would you say, Jones? If we can get that win over Genk, it obviously puts us on 9. You expect Dinamo to get a win against Rapid as well. So you're sort of looking at the midway stage with perfect record. It's sort of us and Dynamo for the top spot, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it could go down to that final group stage on the 9th of December to see who wins the group. If we'll need is a point. But if Zagreb can get a result,
blimey, you're jumping ahead of yourself there, mate.
I mean, it looks like it could go that way. I mean, going away to Genk, I don't think will be easy.
No.
But win your home games and maybe nick the point away from home. We've already got 1 away win. Then you put yourself in a great position.
Yeah, well, that's what you say. Going away to Genk won't be easy. Dinamo Zagreb, who we beat 3-0, found it pretty easy, didn't they?
True.
Winning 3-0 themselves. So yeah, look, we'll see. It's exciting times, mate. Those away games coming in November before the final group stage is in December, especially as some of the teams are struggling in the Champions League as well. There's it's very mouth-watering potential ties in that competition. But look, exciting stuff. Perfect start to the Europa League campaign for West Ham and bring on Genk at home. Jonesy, do you know off the top of your head when the Genk home game is in the Europa League? That would have been a almost seamless. I do actually. 21st of October. Don't worry about it. I'm a total pro at this. It's been 3 years, isn't it? I definitely haven't lost the touch. Anyway.